Hello, everybody. Welcome to the webinar. It's nice to have everybody here. I'm going to wait just a couple of seconds for everybody to kind of file in and get out of the waiting room and get joined and all of that kind of stuff. Make sure your connections are live. When you come in, I like to have everybody just find the chat over there and say hi. Let us know kind of where you're joining from. Gets you the ability to find the chat and get all of that figured out, and also helps me get us a couple of minutes here while everybody joins. So welcome, everyone. Hi, Wade. It's nice to have you join. It's good to see you. Hey, Rob. Hey, Frank. Maryland. Ankeny. Hey, Lou. I bet that's Lou Doubleday from Doubleday Insurance in Ankeny, Iowa. Used to live in Ankeny, so I know you all
nice.
well. So, hi, Larry. It's nice to see you. And we have Susan. We got Myra from Brazil. Okay, here we go.
That's probably going to win.
I think so. All right, looks like we have most of you joined here. Well, a couple are still kind of filling in, but I think they'll be able to catch up. So I'm going to go ahead and get us started. So thank you, everybody, for joining. I want you to also, now that you kind of know where the chat is, look for that Q&A section. That's a good place to put questions, but also because this is a really focused group, really focused in on HawkSoft and ClientCircle users together here. Feel free to just use the chat and ask a question in there. I have a team of people that's joined that will be answering questions. Also, the three of us on the call will be answering questions as we go through it. So without any further ado, I want to introduce my guests today. First of all, the guest of honor, Eleanor Rosenroth. Thank you for joining us. Eleanor is the founder and CEO of ClaimSetter, which you are going to be learning a lot about today. And then, of course, we have Kenny Hendricks, Director of Partner Integrations at HawkSoft. Thank you for joining me, Kenny. And Kenny has a much better podcast voice and everything like that than what I do. And also, evidently, he's an alpaca trainer. Okay, maybe not an alpaca trainer, but loves alpacas. So you got to tell the alpaca story, Kenny.
Sure. We have a really good friend who has a 2-year-old daughter, and for her birthday, we helped take Luna to an alpaca llama farm. These are like therapy / event llamas and alpacas. And so we just got to spend an hour kind of hanging out with them, learning about them. I have this habit where my headshot is always the opposite facial hair from what I actually have at the time. And so the headshots I had were all clean shaven. And I was like, ClientCircle, I have a headshot, but I think this one's more accurate to what I look like right now. There's just an alpaca. And to your guys' credit, you ran with it. An amazing operation out of Washington here on the Pacific Northwest. So if anybody ever needs an alpaca for an event or a llama for an event, you can send me an email and I will connect you with them because they were great. They gave Luna a really great birthday experience. And so
alpacas would probably be really good animals to bring to your booth at a show. I think
totally.
It would get visitors. Always trying to think of how to get more people to the booth. So I want to just quickly go over what we're going to talk about. I'm going to give Kenny also a little bit of, time to chat here. But this, essentially this partnership, between the three of our companies, working to build something unique, has really come about, with a really cool and unique product that Eleanor is going to talk about that I think is amazing, and I'm excited for him to really tell more about what ClaimSetter is, but also the HawkSoft platform in general and the ability for our companies to build upon the management system to create unique solutions. And so I wanted to just commend HawkSoft and Kenny for pulling all of these things together and making such a cool platform that enables these things. So Kenny, if you could just share a little bit about your marketplace and how everything kind of connects to make this all possible.
Yeah, absolutely. We, at HawkSoft, we have this perspective that it should be easy to leverage your data. And our philosophical perspective and our perspective that we put forward in our agreements with agencies is that an agency owns their data. So it is our responsibility to facilitate the portability and the safe use of that data across the technology that those agencies are using to be successful. I like to look at things from a perspective of like a coalition victory, where we might not, at HawkSoft, we are not a marketing automation or a sales automation platform. We can lean on our friends and colleagues at ClientCircle to provide that functionality to an agency that needs it and finds that as their means of success. We are not in the business of making claims effortless and easy like ClaimSetter is, and you'll learn about that here in a second, but ClaimSetter is. And they can leverage claims data that is portable within the ecosystem to maximize their impact on agencies. There's this somewhat cliche but very accurate proverb that comes out of Africa that says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And that's the mentality we take into things, where we want the ecosystem of HawkSoft's platform and all of the technology partners that we have that help agencies be successful. We want to build webs and connections across multiple partners, because when we leverage data in that very exciting way where multiple players can be pushing in the same direction, agencies are going to be able to achieve so much more with the data that they've been cultivating, with the effort they've put in to build those relationships. We're just trying to leverage the value of those connected systems. So HawkSoft as a platform, we have today 25, soon to be 26, probably 27 API partners by the end of the year. Agencies on our current platform, HawkSoft 6, or on HawkSoft 5 today, both populations of agencies can enable API partners within our marketplace tool to have insight into reading data, also writing data back to the system for documentation. ClientCircle does an amazing job at making sure that the management system is kept up to date on what happens in their platform. So yeah, that's kind of our approach. We just like to make it easy. Everything is hard enough in today's world. Getting technology that is complementary to work together should not be something that an agent has to spend a lot of time working on. It should be as easy as possible to just turn on integration with ClientCircle, turn on integration with ClaimSetter, let the three of us combine our powers to help agencies be more successful.
I'm kind of a math nerd, but I kind of think of this as like fractals. When you have just one, think of it like you have one item that you're trying to maybe grow as big as you possibly can. Well, that's the opposite of what HawkSoft and all of us are doing. We're like fractals that kind of spread out and focus on our individual expertise and do our thing really well. And sometimes those fractals kind of connect and build, unique and even accelerate the growth of things. And I think that's kind of what's happening here is, we have obviously recognized HawkSoft's platform as one that we can, grow upon very quickly and build new and unique solutions. It's like why we built Sidecar and all of these extra things that are just not possible in other management systems, to be honest. And when Eleanor, and his team talked to us, we saw an opportunity for how to really connect our systems together with HawkSoft sort of as the hub. And I wanted to, move on that as fast as possible to kind of demonstrate to the industry what's possible when people are working together for the benefit of agents. And so I'm really, really excited about today to kind of share, what we have going. And so with that, Eleanor, I wanted to introduce you and give you a chance to, kind of take over and explain to everybody what ClaimSetter does and why they need you, especially right now, considering what's going on in Florida and things like that.
Happy to. And first of all, thanks all for having me here, and thanks everyone for joining. I'm honored, honestly, to be here with HawkSoft and ClientCircle. We've been very excited. We are very excited about this partnership, about this collaboration, and I think. I hope that by the end of today, you'll all be as excited as we are about what we can do together and about these just completely new capabilities that this combination, this partnership is bringing to the market, is bringing to you. And I'll start off by saying, by the way, I'm actually based in New Hampshire. I forgot to say that earlier in the chat. I thought I was going to be the furthest away, but apparently the Brazil representative beat me to it. So, ClaimSetter. Let me start off by saying this, and I guess the easiest way is just to start with how we even got here. About 2 years ago, I was spending time with a friend of mine who told me a horror story about a claim that he had. The short version of it was he had a claim, it was adjusted within about 7 days, and for some reason, he didn't get money for 8 months. And I remember myself, because before this, I used to run a consumer credit card company. So I remember myself thinking about this problem and saying to myself, this doesn't make any sense. You have an insurance company committed to pay the customer, and then you have a customer scrambling for a loan from the bank to pay the contractor. It just didn't add up. So I got extremely curious, and I went and talked to a whole lot of people. And I'm not going to share the entire journey because it was long and twisting, but I vividly remember conversations with agents who said, with a lot of pain, by the way, in their voice, they said, we run out there, we sweat blood day in, day out to go get customers. And we know that when a claim happens, there's about 80% chance we're going to lose that customer because the experience is just going to be horrible. It's going to be run by this faceless corporation. The customer is not going to remember us with this sense that we took care of them, but they're just going to remember the experience. And the ones that have been around for a bit kept talking with nostalgia about the days that they could sort of show up with the first check, write the first $500 check for the customer to give them a sense that they were actually taking care of the customer. And as we went and talked to everybody in the industry, we realized that, there's a lot of good intentions, but everybody's a bit cautious about everybody else. The insurance company is a bit afraid of the contractor, the adjuster's afraid of the broker. Everybody's trying to protect themselves from everybody else. And we thought to ourselves, we wondered, what would happen if we could just get everybody to focus on the problem instead of focusing on each other? Instead of instead of the adjuster trying to protect themselves from the contractor, for instance, just have everybody focus on the problem. And that's how we started. Essentially, what we do is, and by the way, you already know this is a massive problem. This was not an isolated incident. And essentially what we do is we make claims faster and easier for everyone. And the everyone's very important here because if everybody wins, then everybody's happy. That's the entire idea here. And the way we do it is by essentially stepping in and helping at every step of the way. Once we receive a claim, we usually integrate with agencies, with agents. We receive claims either pre-FNOL or post-FNOL. It doesn't really matter to us. We reach out to the customer, get their consent to work with them. And then once we receive that, we immediately start sending contractors. We have very deep networks of contractors, so we can usually get the first contractor on the ground today. If not today, then tomorrow morning usually. And if the customer doesn't like the first contractor that we send, then we'll send another one and another one and another one until the customer is actually happy. With the contractor that we've sent, or until we run out of contractors, which has not happened yet. We then bring in a claims concierge. And again, this is a claims concierge. This is not an adjuster, just to be very clear. This is a professional whose entire job is to work with the contractor and make sure that we're not missing anything. that everything is done up to code, that they check behind the fridge for mold, that there's not going to be anything that's going to come up as a supplement later, but instead that we're pulling everything into the light early on. Then the claim gets converted into an Xactimate file, basically making it very easy to digest to the carrier. We send it to the carrier for decision. The adjuster essentially makes their own decision. After that, we immediately fund the claim. I'll spend a few more seconds on that in a bit. We fund the entire amount so that the contractor can just start working and run through the entire process from start to finish without having to wait for a check or an endorsement for a mortgage company or an RCV or a supplement or whatever it is. There's just no waiting. Money is not a delay anymore. And at the end of the process, after we finish paying, basically, it is on us to go and collect the funds from the carrier. And in return for all of this, we get a commission from the contractor. Only the contractor pays us, no one else. Now, the bottom line is really very simple. And this is something we're extremely proud of. We just broke, this was about a month and a half ago, we just broke the land speed record for claims when we took a roof claim in Oklahoma. This was a total roof replacement, about $23,000. And from our first contact with the customer until the moment that the customer was done, the roof was replaced, and they did not need to talk to an insurance company ever again, as far as they were concerned. It took 9 days, out of which, by the way, 2 days it was raining, so we just couldn't get the roof opened up before that. But that is the effect of what we do. We take something that takes weeks or months and make it extremely fast and easy for the customer. And by the way, as an outcome, we also share part of our revenue with the agency. So this specific agent, not only they didn't lose revenue because that customer left. They actually stayed around. They also made more money off the claim. So improving revenue is always useful. And just to go one level deeper into how this looks, essentially, once we integrate, once we toggle our services on through here with this collaboration with HawkSoft and ClientCircle, essentially the first thing that happens is that we start receiving claim notifications from the system, and as soon as the customer submits an FNOL to a carrier, we pick it up, we reach out to the customer, explain what we do. If the customer consents to working with us, which usually they do, then we start working with them. And when I talk about matching contractors, we have a very deep network of trusted contractors that we usually get through our relationships with, brokers. We reach out to brokers in various areas, insurance agents, and ask, who do you trust? And once we build that network of trusted contractors, we then optimize, since they're all good, they've all been vetted, they're all licensed, they're all insured, they all have good reviews. We then optimize to get contractors as fast as possible to the customer. So as you'll see here, and this is it's almost a screen grab from one of our systems. We can look at an area and essentially immediately see who can be there as early as possible, and that way just line up a whole array of contractors that can show up. Again, obviously depending on availability. After that, we prepare the claim and send it. This is usually the format that it gets sent. So we send it as fully prepared as possible to the adjuster. And where the entire idea here is to just make it very easy for the adjuster for the carrier's adjuster, that is, to make a decision. So we send this to the adjuster, and we start engaging with them in whatever platform we need to, whether it's email, whether it's phone, whether it's anything else, to make sure that they reach their decision quickly. Now, sometimes this means calling an adjuster 10 times a day. Sometimes it means sending them an email and asking for feedback. Sometimes it's whatever other platforms the carriers use. We respect, obviously, their systems and their boundaries. But I think it's important here to note, we never ever have a comment or a request about what the decision should be. We never say this should be a covered claim or not, this should be $1 or $2. That's not what we do. All we do is say, look, you have all the data that you need. Give us a decision, please. And if you're missing any data, then tell us what you're missing and we'll get that for you so that you'll be able to get back to us to a decision. Because essentially what we're trying to do is we're trying to take the 95, 98% of claims where there's no reason for them to go sideways, there's no reason for them to get delayed, and just run them as fast as possible. This is about making the inevitable happen much, much faster. That's basically what this is about. Now, once there's a decision and we fund, we decide to fund the amount, you know how usually when you work with a contractor, the contractor usually asks for 50% upfront and then tells you that they're going to show up on Monday. You just don't know which Monday it's going to be. So we don't like that. So the way that we work in our world is that payment is only submitted after the work is done. And the way it's done gives complete control over the payment to the insured, to the customer. So I'll explain. At the end of every week, the contractor sends pictures. You can see a sample here. They send pictures of what they've done with a short description. This is not a Shakespeare sonnet, it's just a very short description. And once we receive that, we send it to the insured, send it to your customer, and ask them for feedback. And they have 2 business days to dispute. If for whatever reason they don't like the outcome, whether it's they disagree with the fact that the work is being done or the quality of the work or the color that was painted, we don't really care what the reason is, then we hold payment. And now the contractor needs to figure out a way to make the customer happy, so the customer will instruct us to release the payment. If there isn't a dispute, obviously we release last week's labor. When the project is done, we do this on a weekly basis, and when the project is done and we have a certificate of completion from the contractor and a thumbs up from the customer and the adjuster, then we release basically all the remaining payment, the overhead, the overhead component, the profit component to the contractor, again, minus our commission. And at that point on, and this is important to stress, they're done. The customer, the contractor, they're done. They can just continue with their lives. It is on us to recover the payment from the insurance company, essentially to go to the carrier and say, dear carrier, you've committed to paying $100. Please pay these. You've adjusted $100. Please pay $100. If it takes the carrier 2 years to pay, if it takes them 6 months to pay or 2 weeks to pay, that is our problem. We never ever go back to the customer, or to the contractor, unless there's fraud or something like that, obviously. And essentially, that allows the customer to just continue on with their life and be done with this. The fun part here is that not only do the agencies, the agents generate positive reviews out of this, you also receive, we revenue share, so you receive 1.5% of the claim as commission. It's essentially 15% of our revenue, so it translates into 1.5% of the claim as commission, which sort of acts as a hedge, if you think about it, against high loss years, and also provides additional revenue even in lower loss years. By the way, just sort of before I leave, we're actually running. We've been receiving a lot of incoming traffic, if you will, due to the hurricanes that are happening right now. So to help the agents that are dealing with hurricane claims, we're actually giving until the end of this month, any claim that comes in until the end of October, we're giving 4% of the claim as commission. So 1.5% is the steady state. Right now, we're just trying to help. So that's kind of where we are. And essentially, I'll close by just saying claims it should be an opportunity. It is an opportunity beyond the fact that you can actually excel and show the customer that you're really there for them at the time of their need, and essentially live up to this promise that you've given them, that you'll be there for them, that you'll help them deal with whatever comes. There's a real, this really affects lives. This really helps people in their time of need, and it also helps you increase revenue. So everybody wins. And I'll stop here for a second, because I'm sure I can talk about this for days on end, but I'll hold here and wait for questions.
Eleanor, this is amazing. And I think this slide really kind of sums it up, in my opinion, the best, is that claims as an opportunity is really important, because typically everybody's kind of afraid of this process, right? I think that when we look at our data in terms of customer satisfaction, when there are claims and things of that nature, if they don't go well, it reflects poorly on the carrier and also on the agent, and they do look for changes. I think customers really depend on the agent to help them through that process, and sometimes they don't have the capital, for example, that it takes to do what you're doing here. And so you have such an awesome platform to really be able to help with that. So yeah, it looks like we're getting a few questions. Let the questions continue to come in for Eleanor. We're going to talk about how it kind of connects with ClientCircle and HawkSoft here. So where does ClientCircle come in? Well, when we were meeting with ClaimSetter, we realized right away what the opportunity is from a communication standpoint. We think that being able to communicate with customers throughout the claims process is super important, but also to make it as easy as possible for a company like ClaimSetter to come in and be notified when there's claims, whether they come from HawkSoft or from, if you're using ClientCircle, you might have set up your forms to have data come into ClientCircle. We'll also get claims information from there. It might come in from other mechanisms, and all of those ways that we're being informed of claims, we can forward that to ClaimSetter so they get the information and can act on it right away. And that's kind of the key, is that we're getting a feed from HawkSoft for claims, and we're getting a feed from website form entries for claims, and then we're making that information available to ClaimSetter. And so this is by far the simplest, easiest integration you'll ever set up. You go into ClientCircle and you flip that little switch, and ClaimSetter will be able to see the claims as they come in. And I'm sure there's some contracts and things that you need to sign with ClaimSetter. Eleanor, can you kind of walk us through that process and how it works so that they don't flip this on and think, okay, everything's going to work?
Of course. So and then I'll also endeavor to answer the questions that have popped up. So oops, they disappeared. So essentially, the process to work with us is really well simple. We like to keep things simple. Once you toggle this on, we reach out to you and set up let's call it 15-minute onboarding conversation. During that onboarding, we'll run you through the contract, that we have. It's actually extremely simple. It basically says what we'll do, explains very clearly that we provide this service for you. Gives you the option, if there is enough volume, to actually even provide this service on a white label basis. We do that for higher volume agencies. For others, we use it under our own name. And then also the actual, because every agency is slightly different, so the actual procedures of how do we start working, how do we actually start working together. In some cases, some agencies, for instance, also like to receive phone calls from their customers, in which case we will probably add ourselves or ask to add ourselves to the phone tree. So when someone clicks for property claims, press 3, then they just reach our center. And in other cases, we'll just live based on the data that we get here. Again, every agency is a bit unique. It's kind of a bit of a snowflake. So we try to do the last mile, if you will, of fitting to make it bespoke. It's a 15-minute process. It's not really that complex. And just to run quickly through the questions here, contractors in the area, just tell us which areas you're in, and we can very easily see if there's contractors. By the way, if we don't have contractors in an area, it usually takes us about 2 weeks to fire up contractors. We do it. It's really very simple. We reach out to agents that we trust in the area and ask, who do you recommend? Because if an agent has worked with a contractor for the past 3, 4, 5 years, that's already a very strong reference. So we build a network that way, and then we start rolling out with them. It usually takes us 2 weeks, 3 weeks tops to fire up an area. In terms of the process, Laurie, sorry, that was for Wade. So Laurie, we pay the full amount of the repairs for the insured, and the insured pays nothing. That is correct. The insured pays their deductible, obviously, because they need to pay their deductible. But everything beyond the deductible, everything that is arriving from the carrier in a check or in a series of checks, all of that we front. So whether that means that afterwards we need to take that ACV check and chase Rocket Mortgage or whoever to get them to endorse the check, whether it means that we need to chase 3-4 supplement checks because that's just what happened in that project, then that is on us. The customer does not pay $1 beyond their deductible, which obviously they're obligated to pay. Krista, you asked which carriers we've been working with. Quite a few. So to name just some of the bigger ones that pop to mind right now, USAA, Safeco, Nationwide. I'm blanking on others, but Farmers, I think. I mean, there's all the big ones essentially, openly, to name one of the smaller ones. So we've worked with all the big ones. As you can imagine, the first conversation with them is always slightly weird because we're not, we're not an adjuster and we're not an attorney and we're not a contractor. But about 30 seconds into the conversation, they realize that we're actually very helpful for them because, we're not trying to change outcomes. So as far as they're concerned, working with us is just much easier. Because if you think about the average customer doesn't really know how to deal with a claim. They don't know what the 7 items that they need to send to the adjuster are in order to get the claim moving. We do. So we just serve everything up to the adjuster so that they can make up their minds. And we've had cases where adjusters have rejected claims. We've had cases where adjusters disagreed with the quotes that came from our contractor. It's all fine. Again, we're not here to argue. We're not here to represent anything. We're just here to move the process really, really quickly. That's what we're trying to do. And Rodney, we are absolutely not an adjuster in any way, shape, or form. We do not know how to adjust. We do not want to know how to adjust. We are, if you will, a trusted connector between everyone. So, we bring a contractor that we vetted, we bring the information to the carrier, we then bring the money that we know we're going to get from the carrier to the contractor. People or the various constituencies here trust us because, by the way, we have no opinion about any of this. We don't care whether the whether the claim is going to be $100 or $200. That is completely in the control of the carrier. And Caitlin, the carriers do not have to consent for us to assist in a claim. We use assignments of benefits in order to basically redirect the funds to us, assignment of benefits or instruction to pay, depending on the context, depending on the state or the policy. And that way we can get repaid for whatever we spent. And by the way, we only get repaid for amounts that we've spent. We are not allowed to keep dollars that we didn't give out to the contractors. And awesome. What about ACV, roof payment schedules? Not a problem at all. About I think 80% of our claims are roofs. We just roofs because they're so quick. Usually there's just one payment. So they start, they finish, they get paid a week later in most cases, and that's the end of it. I can tell you that the Oklahoma claim, for instance, it took us 8 days to pay because the customer insisted, and this is an 80-year-old man, insisted on climbing a ladder, getting on the roof to make sure that the work was done well, and it took him 8 days to do it. So we waited for a thumbs up from the customer, and once that was done, we released the payment to the contractor.
And Rodney had a question about how you get paid. I think maybe Rodney was here a little bit late, but essentially, ClaimSetter gets paid by the contractors.
Correct.
So Krista also has another question here. Will you ever get into auto claims or solely stick to property claims? Good question. I asked that one too a while ago.
I think auto claims are very likely for us at some point in the future, but at some point in the future. This is not something that's going to happen this year. So right now we are completely focused on real property claims, whether it's homes, whether it's commercial, industrial. We don't really. If you need a general contractor, we're good. We're relevant for that. Autos, we know there's an opportunity there, but yeah,
might not be enough margin there to actually make a business out of it. I don't know. There's a lot of claims.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Look, I haven't, luckily enough, I haven't had a car claim myself in quite some time, so I have no idea.
Oh, knock on wood.
Yeah, knock on wood. Awesome. Again, every time I meet with you, Eleanor, I keep thinking, like, why would an agency not do this? And to be honest, I can't think of anything. I mean, this really does feel like a win-win-win all across the board, from agency, from the broker standpoint, right? From the contractor standpoint, from the insured standpoint, and, you know, also from the carrier standpoint, you know, to be able to work with, you know, one, you know, person on this claim, and to not feel the pressure, you know, from the broker and the contractors for the checks and all that kind of stuff. So I love the idea that, you know, you went into this thinking about how do we solve this problem for everybody. So really, really cool. Again, if you are ClientCircle and HawkSoft customer, then it's really easy to turn it on. Just go out here, flip the switch, and make sure you call up ClaimSetter so that they can walk you through kind of all the setup process. Kenny, I know there's from a HawkSoft, I don't have a slide for you guys, but from a HawkSoft standpoint, do you want to kind of talk about how, you know, the data is put into HawkSoft and then
Absolutely.
You know, available in the API and stuff like that?
Yes, 100%. And Tori, I agree with you. Every time I get a chance to talk with Eleanor and his colleague Ben, who is more the person I work with day to day, an awesome company emerging onto our scene that I'm glad that we had this opportunity to like present it to more people. On the HawkSoft side, you're going to want to, this is a triangle of integration. So you're going to want to make sure that you're enabling sharing data with ClientCircle and that you're a ClientCircle customer. And then you're just going to want to, if you have claims downloads enabled, that'll make this process pretty much automatic. Claims downloads are available for a lot of carriers on the home side. They might not be as prevalent on the commercial line side, but I encourage you to check with your major carriers or call into product support and ask about how do you explore that in the Ivans dashboard for setting up downloads. You can also search our help system for claims. We can track claims inside HawkSoft, first notice of loss, and the whole process. All of that information is present in our partner API that Tori and ClientCircle uses. And as those claims are received via the API, when you have the ClaimSetter integration turned on in ClientCircle, they go straight to ClaimCenter as well. So it just automates the whole process. And like all integrations with HawkSoft, there's no additional cost for you to enable that integration between HawkSoft and ClientCircle. You just need to be a customer of both of us. And then the same thing with ClaimSetter, really trying to pull down barriers to make this easy. You know, I literally had a claim this week for my car, and the process that technology enables, I took care of most of it in a day because I was able to get everybody connected, but that does not exist on the home side until ClaimSetter came out. It did not exist in the commercial real estate area until ClaimSetter hit the market. And so being able to leverage that, I think, is going to be very powerful for agencies. Paul Hawkins, the CEO of HawkSoft, says it all the time. We are in a relationship business, and giving over the relationship at the worst moment, the point where your customers are facing like the reason they have insurance so that they can be made whole when something bad happens. You don't want to ship off the relationship at that point. You want to be able to say, I have a trusted partner that I know is going to bring vetted contractors to play, going to make sure that this is easy for my insureds so that I can focus on talking to them about what happened, making sure they feel safe in their homes, making sure they feel safe in their businesses. I think this is going to be really impactful to how agencies and agents relate to their insureds and form stronger relationships through it.
And I'm seeing a few more questions here, so I'll just kind of quickly run through them if we still have time. So first of all, Laurie asked, what if an insured wants to go the traditional route? Not a problem at all. In fact, the insured can at any point until we actually start funding the claim decide that they want to go wherever they want to use whichever contractor they want. The actual commitment to us starts once we start paying for the claim and not a minute before that. So they can actually use our claim preparation services for free. It's not going to cost them. It's not going to cost them $1, and then decide to go somewhere else. No, there's no coercion involved in any way, shape, or form. Caitlin asked, "How do you know if we're involved?" We communicate fairly obsessively. You will know at every stage of the claim what's happening. So you will receive reports from us, whether it's emails, whether it's text, depending on preferences and communication capabilities that you have and we have at that point. Of every stage of what's happening. The claim, the customer has chosen a contractor, the claim has gone to the adjuster has approved, not approved, contractor starting to work next week, whatever it is that you need to know in order to be there for your customer, and even more importantly, send them flowers a day after they've been recovered at the end of it, and really strengthen that relationship. So you will know everything about the claim. Krista asked about whether we'd be able to download into HawkSoft with updates. The short answer is yes. The slightly longer answer is in a bit of time. We're not there yet. We're still working on that.
Actually, I would say that's a really good place for us to be able to help with that, right? So with the client view that we have with ClaimSetter, as they update that, we'll be able to push information back into HawkSoft. So we already have, this is where I'm saying the three of our companies together make a really powerful force, because we have all the experience in the world with communicating with the HawkSoft API, making sure all that stuff works, and we can help bridge that gap and create a platform for them to do that. So look for updates for that to be possible. So we're really excited to continue to enhance things, like that. I see another one in here about ClientCircle. So Wade, this is rolling out to people as we speak. So there's a good chance if you refresh your page, you're going to start seeing that option to be able to turn it on. So yeah, it should be there very soon if it's not there with already right now. So cool. Are there more? Oh, Rodney still had another question. I don't know if we got to that. Did we? I thought maybe I just saw that pop up. Maybe we already.
Oh, whether we're representing the insured if we're not a public adjuster. I missed that. I'm sorry. Didn't mean to skip you, Rodney. So Rodney asked, essentially, he still doesn't know how, if we are representing the insured to the carrier, we are not a public adjuster. So the answer is very simple, Rodney. We do not represent the insured to the carrier. We move the process forward. So we get the contractor quickly there. We bring a claim concierge, a claim expert to work with the contractor, and then we make sure that the contractor sends everything to the adjuster really quickly, and then we communicate with the adjuster to get them to send the decision quickly. Because we have an assignment of benefits, then they send it back to us. But we are not representing anyone. We're not arguing on behalf of anyone. We're not making any statements, requests, demands on behalf of anyone. We are just facilitating the process and making sure that all the different pieces that are required are there, and they're doing what they need to do as professionally and as fast as possible.
Awesome. Sounds like you guys have navigated that really well. Let's see. How do
every time.
How do people stay in the know if ClaimSetter is involved? We get updates and things like that.
Yeah. So
before you answer that, Eleanor, again, I think that's another thing that we're going to hopefully be able to help with. So with ClientCircle customers, over time, we're going to enhance this integration and make it better. We're rolling it out today to introduce everybody to ClaimSetter and kind of get everything turned on. But we want to get your feedback on how would you prefer to get those updates? How often do you want to, know about things? And how do you want to know if they're involved? Because we can help facilitate some of that. So where ClaimSetter is communicating, with all of the parties, we can then automate some of that as well to keep you informed inside the management system, inside ClientCircle, to send notifications to customers and all that kind of stuff. And those are the things that we're going to work with everybody to kind of roll out as time goes on, and we want to hear your feedback. So I don't know if you have more to add on that, Eleanor, like how you're doing it today, but I wanted to at least let people know this is kind of the vision that we're going for here.
Oh, I think there's much more that we can do there. I mean, I think so. I'm not a marketing person at all, but as I was looking through ClientCircle's system, I think there's just so many things that can be done around claims, around generating leads from claims, around generating goodwill from claims, reviews. I mean, there's so much. Again, not my world, not the way my brain works. My brain is sort of obsessed with getting claims done as fast as possible, which I know is weird, but it just is. So, I think that as we gain more mileage here in this partnership, you can expect to see more and more capabilities that are built on top of this that allow to take this essentially completely brand new muscle. This is a muscle that just doesn't exist so far, and build it and make really fun things from it that we can't even imagine. In terms of communicating at the moment, we send emails. Again, we communicate obsessively, so we send emails, we send texts to the agent with just regular status updates on what's happening, so that whenever they get a phone call, and that's essentially the way that we think about it. Whenever you get a phone call from the customer, you need to be able to go in about half a second and understand precisely what's happening with the claim, so that the customer feels that you're really controlling the process for them, that you're there for them, that you're on top of their problem in their biggest time of that problem. So that's the way that we do it, and obviously, when it's done, we let you know so you can go in there and, I don't know, buy them dinner or buy them flowers or whatever it is you'd like to do.
Frank also had a question. I don't know if this kind of was answered with when this question came in, but just how does ClientCircle fit in the process? So essentially, what we have done is helped bring claims that are in the HawkSoft API to the view of ClaimSetter right now. So that's what that integration does. You flip that on, and now all of a sudden they will get a feed of all of the claims that are in HawkSoft. But also, what we've done is when claims come in through web forms that you have set up, then those will also go into the ClaimSetter client view. So the neat part of this is that if someone contacts the carrier and then all of a sudden that's downloaded, and then maybe they didn't even touch base with you, and that gets into HawkSoft, and now ClaimSetter is going to know about it before you do, because the API is going to be there. And then also, if someone goes out to your website and fills out just a short claim form, then also ClaimSetter is going to know about it probably before you do. So and then of course in that first setup call, you can kind of build the protocol with ClaimSetter. Like, what do you want to do? How do you want that process to work in terms of contacting the customer and things like that? That's out of our game, but what we're doing is helping get the information to ClaimSetter. So, yeah. I think Wade has a great point here. Is my clients need a professional to oversee their claims process, standing by for first contact from ClaimSetter. I think that's the key. Is there's a lot of agents that also, maybe you can speak more to this, Eleanor, but there's a lot of agents that want to have sort of to oversee the claims process. They don't want to oversee the claims process, but they feel like they need to be there from a professional for the customer to make sure that things aren't going to go sideways, and that they're represented professionally, and especially because we're talking about some high value commercial clients and things like that. So you just share a little bit about how you represent the agency and why they should feel comfortable working with you.
Of course. So the first thing that we establish is essentially how do we present what it is that we do, and what we've seen so far that works the best, and also provides the biggest splash, if you will, in terms of how the customer feels about the agent, is something along the lines of, when a claim comes in, we reach out to the customer and say, hey, hi Tori, I'm Eleanor with ClaimSetter. we work with Wade in this case. We work with Wade to help make claims for his customers as easy and painless as possible. What we're going to do for you is this. We can help you find a contractor if you don't have one. If you have one, we can make sure that they're up for the task and figure out if we can work with them. We're going to go and bring someone to oversee the contractor and make sure that they're putting together the quote in the most professional way, that they're not missing anything. Then we're going to help move the process as fast as possible with the carrier, with the insurance company. And once that's approved, we're going to make sure that you don't need to chase a check ever again. And this is not going to cost you $1. All you need to do is just pay the deductible that you committed to in your policy, and that is it. That's the way the conversation starts. So far, somewhere around 80% of customers usually say yes, because who wants to deal with this headache? Honestly, some have questions, some are more concerned, less concerned, but that's usually the way the process works. And from that point on, again, we just communicate on a very consistent basis with the customer, because we understand that they're very anxious. What we learned, though, is that once we put a contractor there that is actually trusted by the customer, and that trust is usually earned after the first 2-3 days of work, customers just become very happy, and that's the end of it. Because there's no, and this is going to sound weird, but there's no more pain point around the claim. Because if you think about most of the telephone calls you get when you're an agent from a customer after a claim, it's, why hasn't the adjuster responded to me? What's happening with my claim? And that's something that we accelerate. Where's my check? Why is the check not coming? How do I get the mortgage company to get this? There's a lot of stress around those points, and all of that just goes away. It's almost like living with a really noisy air conditioner, and then one day someone replaces that for an actually functioning silent air conditioner.
Yeah. No, I know what it's like. I've had property claims where I feel like it wouldn't move if I wasn't on the phone with people making stuff happening. Like if I'm not calling the contractors and getting quotes and talking to the adjusters, like if I wasn't doing that, it would have taken forever. So I was like my own ClaimSetter. I wish you guys exist, if I knew about you, many months ago, because I would have called you and said, hey, help me out on this. But no, this is great. I think also from, there's things that you can, as a broker, can do to help ease customers' concerns, like put the ClaimSetter logo on your website, on your claims pages and things like that. So when they get a call from ClaimSetter, they aren't thinking that, if they've never heard them before, they're feeling comfortable. Little things like that, I think, can really help with your customers' process. And maybe even use ClientCircle with a one-time communication out to your customers to say, hey, in the future, when you have claims, you may get a call from ClaimSetter, and do it on specific policy types. And we have engaged with them to make the process easier, things like that. So we can really help with communications out to customers so that they feel comfortable. And also they know that you're not just sitting back waiting for things to happen, but you're actively engaging with partners and solutions out there to make your services better. So right on. I think we're pretty much wrapping up. Anything else to mention for anybody, Kenny or Elnor, and any more questions that people have?
No,
first
I
of all,
think
to all of you guys, sorry, Kenny.
No, I was just gonna say I've loved this. This has been a great. Every time I get a step through the ClaimSetter process, I'm just like, wow, this is. You don't often get to see the emergence of the new way or the better way, and I feel like we're at that point where it's like, oh, this is. I know the situation that Tori was just referring to about the claim that he had to deal with, and I agree. Like Tori was stressed during that time. It would have been amazing if ClaimSetter was there to take care of it for him. So I'm excited to see what our combined efforts can do for the independent agency channel, and I'm very confident that it's going to this is going to be the first step in a huge impact.
Yep, for sure.
I will just say this. First of all, again, thank you all for coming. I'll also say one thing. It doesn't even have to be your claim for you to get paid for it. Remember that story from Oklahoma? That agent, specific agent, went to customers that he lost in the past 4 or 5 years that just recently had claims. And not only did he manage to win some of them back, because now he's got this claim service working with, he even made some revenue off of these customers because some other broker just had their loss rates go up. So just saying.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's a good point.
Just,
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Wow. That's a cool story. Okay, everybody.
Mhm.
I'm going to wrap it up. Thank you very, very much for presenting today and sharing your story, Eleanor, and Kenny, for helping make a lot of this possible. And thank you, everybody, for joining. We're really excited to continue to build on this. Please share your feedback with the ClaimSetter team, with us, with HawkSoft, about how we can make it better and how we can really, help your agency and your customers. So if you aren't a ClientCircle customers, I think a lot of you are on the call. If you would need help signing up, there's a demo link that just popped up. But we are gonna call it a day. Thank you, everybody, very much. Eleanor, Kenny, we'll talk to you later. And
Thank you so much.
have a great day.
Thank you very much for setting
Take
this
care.
up. Thank you.